All right. I want to start off by saying that I didn't get to watch much NFL this weekend. I did watch the second half of the Bengals and the Chargers, which is as much as I was able to see because of all the hockey being on. Good example of why is because somebody posted in the comments on the hockey channel that they had turned on the football game for like a minute. It was scoreless in the hockey game. When they went back, the score was 2-1. They're like, wait, what happened? So that's why I can't flip back and forth. I have to watch the hockey game. And if you wait in between periods, you're like, I'm going to watch something else, you can forget to turn back. I've done that. I did that before I had a channel. I don't want to do that now. So what I've been watching is your reality TV, and it's the only ones that I really watch. Big Brother I've watched almost every year. Last year I called out the show for what I felt was some crap casting, and this year, man, All Stars. Oh, I don't like the giant alliance that was formed on day one. I hate it when giant alliances are formed on day one. And so you spend the next month and a half watching them just pick off whoever's not in the alliance. You're like, oh, and you keep waiting for people in the house to wake up before they're outnumbered, and they never do. They never do. It never happens. The giant alliance takes over. I would love to see some kind of a regulation in Big Brother where you're not allowed to have a giant alliance. And for people that say, well, they can't do that, they tell them they're not allowed to sing. They can do that. Now, who I like that's currently in the house, Ian. I think Ian's a good guy, and there's been some talk online about how so he rocks back and forth. He's autistic. He rocks back and forth a lot, and I do have some experience with people that do that. I used to work at a summer camp. We worked with the blind, and blind people will do that. And my friend Norm, he even told me at one point, he said, look, I may not even know I'm doing it. So if I start rocking back and forth, let me know and I'll stop. But what we all found was, we would have our meetings at like 6 in the morning where we'd all go up to our staff meetings before everybody woke up. And we found out, we just sort of jokingly said, hey, let's give that a shot. And we found out that whole rocking back and forth thing could be very therapeutic. And so Ian does that, and he does it when he's on the hammock. Now, apparently, and this is coming out from people who've been watching the live feeds, there are a few people in the house that have been making fun of him for that, and talking about how creepy it is that he does that. Here's the thing. Ask him why. Ask him why. And again, like we did when we were at summer camp and we were, talking about it as a staff, give it a shot. It can be very therapeutic. It can be. It can be very relaxing. So, the fact that he's come out and he admitted that, and he stated it up front, I give him kudos for that. And he's high functioning. He's a smart player, and it'll be a shame when he doesn't win it, because there's no way he's going to win it because he's not in the big alliance. And you'll notice that most of the people that I'm cheering for are not in the big alliance. So right away I was like, oh, the people I don't like are in the big alliance. So you've got Davon. Davon, I think, is very entertaining. She's funny as hell. Her fake crying last night was on point, and she's a smart player. So I can see Davon maybe getting in there and causing some problems, but she's not going to win it. Enzo's funny. He calls himself the Meow Meow, which is really bizarre, but I do find him entertaining. So he's on the like side for me, and he might be the one that can break that alliance. He might be the only one in the house that can break that alliance. Cody is the only one that's really, a glue member of that team that I like. I like Cody. I think he's a decent guy, and condolences to him for hearing his grandfather had passed away last week. And this is where the show's kind of come under fire too, that some people saying they should allow these guys to, if it's an emergency, if it's a family emergency, they should allow communication from the outside world into the house more than just a letter. I agree. I think in that situation there should be an allowance. So I feel for him, and if he wins it, I won't be too angry. David, I've gone back and forth on David. I don't think he's great at gameplay, and gameplay just involves shutting your mouth. Gameplay, honestly, they overcomplicate it. They make it sound like this big thing. Just keep your mouth shut. So you hear something from somebody over here. Oh, there's some stuff I heard. I'm not going to say it. And David doesn't know not to tell, and he's learning, but I don't think he's, because last year he didn't really get to play the game. He was just out on day one because he was out on day one. We're not going to get into why. There were a lot of us that had theories last year, and definitely I made my feelings known, and it does feel like it's kind of happening again. Although this year they're pegging off all the women. This it looks like this may very well be the first week where it's a guy that's going to go. But they just seem to will turn the women against each other and get some women out of here, and then guys can run the house. It doesn't always happen, but it can happen where it's we can turn these girls against each other. So and before people say can't call them girls, well they call themselves boys too, girls and boys. And I've been watching enough Love Island recently that yeah, it's just it's terminology. It's not a big deal. But yeah, David, I do hope against all hope that he somehow finds his way into the final four, top six, something. But I don't think it's going to happen. And Kevin, and it feels like Kevin's going to be the sacrificial lamb this week, and I'm tired of it. I think Kevin's, but the thing with Kevin is that by old standards in Big Brother, he's a floater. So floaters terminology used for somebody that isn't winning competitions. They're not part of any kind of an alliance. They're just sort of hanging out. They're in the house. They might be perfectly fine and personable, but they're not really winning anything. And so they're easy to pick off, where you can say, well, I'm going to get rid of him because he's a floater. And so Kevin, floating downstream and trying to get as far as he can, and I think he's probably out this week. Now, the ones I don't like and why, it's surprising to me because when the cast is announced, I like Christmas. I did. I liked her. And the more she speaks this year, the more I think, I don't know that that's the case anymore. Christmas, she's off my list. And every single time somebody says her name, they make a joke. And I'm really honestly surprised she doesn't go by Chrissy. Just because I give her kudos for staying with Christmas, but I'm really surprised she doesn't go by Chrissy because most people would go by Chrissy by the time they're an adult. They'd be like, man, I am so tired of every time somebody says my name, they go, hi, your name's Christmas, huh? Yes. Okay, get all the jokes out, presents, unwrap, blah, blah, especially, at the bar. Probably, I like to unwrap you, Christmas. Did you hear what I said? Yeah, it's the same thing I said to her 5 minutes ago. Nicole F. And I don't know why I put the F up there other than there were two Nicoles this year. And I've only got people who are in the house on the board. Anybody who's been evicted, I probably like them. Bailey, I thought was very entertaining. She's out. Nicole A was one of my favorites. She's out. Nicole F, I liked her first time around. I did. I really, really did. I thought she was really, really nice and really sweet. And just now it just feels like it's calculating. It feels like with them all being veterans, everybody's just cold and calculating. And the social game is kind of gone, and it's just, okay, who's in my alliance? Who's in my final two? Okay, so let's just everybody hunker down and make this happen. And it, I don't know, it's not the same. I'm looking forward to next summer when we won't have this kind of an alliance thing going on. So Nicole's not on my favorite list. Danny is not as well. And I like Danielle. Danielle, with her dad, Dick, who, became Evil Dick during that season. Honestly, Evil Dick and Danny together were so fantastic to watch. And while a lot of people hated them, I liked them. I thought they were so entertaining. And I thought they had the house wrapped around their finger. Danny this year, she didn't even want to win Head of Household this week. She's just sort of like, well, I'll make sure I drop after Tyler does. Oh, I guess I win. Oh, well, whoops. That's not what the competitions are supposed to be. I think the fact, too, that people are throwing competitions right, left, and center shows that what this show has become is a joke. It really has. You're going to throw comps, do it like Dr. Will, or don't do it at all. Dr. Will never pretended he cared about the competitions. He just, I don't care. I'm out of here. 2 minutes into a competition, and whoops, I fell off. Well, I'm going to go have a drink. I'm going to watch you guys all hanging out here and getting sprayed with whatever that crap is that's falling from the ceiling. Yeah, I'm going to go sit over there, and then I'm going to talk about how much I hate all of you. And then he wins. So, brilliant strategy. We all hate him. We can all win if we're next to him in the final two, right? Yes. Boom. And then everybody's like, actually, he was really honest the whole season, so we're going to vote for him. Brilliant strategy. Nobody does that anymore. There's no strategy to this anymore. They think there is, but what's your end game? Because now when people are head of household, they go, I don't want any blood on my hands. Okay, you need to take out a stronger player because the fewer people there are in the house, the harder it is to get that stronger player out. So when you have a chance, when they're not head of household, that's when you've got to take the shot. Memphis, no. Just no. Tyler, I really like Tyler. The last time he played, this time I think he's lost it. I think he's gone completely bonkers in that house, and it happens. It's something Yvonne and I are watching this, and I've said, you can tell they're getting kind of squirrely in there, and that they're kind of, some of them, and Christmas I think too. I think she's kind of losing it in there, and we'll see who ends up emerging with the $500,000 at the end of this. There you go. Just looking through the cast and who I like and don't and why. Now I want to talk about Love Island. And I know the last video done on this channel was Love Island, and it's the 10th best viewed video out of 10. And I know it doesn't get great ratings, and I know there's a lot of people say, I'm not watching that crap. So, over the last week, they brought in what they called Casa Amor, which is you take the couples and you split them up. You take, everybody's in a couple, and you go, you know what, the guys are going to go over there. The girls are going to stay here. We're going to bring in new guys for the girls, and the guys are going to go where all the new girls are. And so I found myself kind of rooting for certain couples. Not for Connor and Mackenzie. That was toxic. It just felt toxic to me. And so when Mackenzie decided to pair up instead with Jalen, I was like, that makes more sense. She seems more comfortable and relaxed. And then last night, Jalen's kind of like, I think I'm even like Kirsten. And I'm like, oh no. Oh no. Connor comes back with the teddy bear, and now Mackenzie's going to dump him. Because keeping these people apart, and it's fun. Again, this is the social aspect. There are certain people that you could tell that they were apart from their significant other, who they've just met over the last few weeks, and they go, I kind of like this guy better. I kind of like this girl better. And then there were others that were like, I wasn't really very nice to my significant other, and there's all these new people around. I really should have given him more of a chance. So Kirsten felt that way about Carrington. And then Carrington came down with a new girl. Now, Carrington was played off as kind of being a villain last night. Now, he said some mean things when he came back. Not going to pretend he didn't. He said some mean things about Kirsten. But the last time they talked, before he went to Casa Amor, she was very clear, I have no romantic interest in you whatsoever, kind of thing. Like, we're just friends. That's all this is. Carrington's kind of like, all right, well, if I can find somebody else, I guess find somebody else. She's like, yeah, if I can find somebody else, I will. And then while he's gone, she has this epiphany, like, I think I really like him. And then, so, again, he had no way of knowing that. And now Jalen's kind of like, I think I kind of like that Kirsten girl. And then he can't understand why Mackenzie's upset. He's off talking to some other girl in this little romantic nook they've got set up. And I can't understand what she's upset about. Dude, I can. I had a great day. I'm sure you did. I'm sure you enjoyed talking to all the other ladies. If you're paired up, you kind of need to make it look like you're making an effort with the person you paired up with. But my favorites on the show, Selly. Selly is so genuine, and there's so many little moments that, and I know it's edited this way too, so I know and the same with Big Brother, there's editing that goes on here, so it does try to make you root for or against certain people. But she seems very down to earth, she really cares about Johnny, and Johnny goes off to the other Casa Amor, and immediately this Mercedes girl's just like devouring him whole. And he's like, I got a girlfriend. She's like, good for you. I don't care. And just plants one on him. But where Johnny messed up was he responded in kind, and then of course cuddled up with her, and then the next day decides, I think I really like Selly. Yeah, no, you were supposed to decide that and then not play tonsil hockey with the other girl. That's, and then of course that led to Yvonne and I having a discussion where I'm like, so when I go to Casa Amor, and she's like, you're not going to Casa Amor. I'm like, but if I did, you'd understand, right? And she's like, no, you already decided. And she may have a point. She may have a point there. It would be funny, though, to see a Love Island show with people my age. Because I think that would be hilarious. I do. It would be a completely different everything. Probably not so much the bikinis and the board shorts. Probably not so much of that. Probably a lot more complaining about the heat. Probably a lot more whining and snipping at each other. Probably a lot of, you remind me of my ex. It's not a compliment. Be an interesting show if you had Love Island for middle-aged people. But yeah, Selly and Johnny, I like them together. Johnny, I really, really hope he makes the right choice here, because Selly really likes him. And she's really nice. She was the one that last night they showed, so with these guys bringing back these other girls, Selly was the one that was shown talking to the, I'm notice I'm saying was shown talking to, not that she was necessarily the only one, the other ones didn't, but she was shown talking to the other girls. And just, being nice to them. And so I thought that was great. To Selly's benefit, none of the other guys brought back the girl that Johnny was all tonsil hockey with. So that's good. Moira, she was my favorite of the girls to start with because I thought she looked most like she was natural. She didn't really need the makeup or wear as much makeup, I felt, as the other ones. But as the show goes along, I think she's starting to kind of lose it. So she started out with James, and James and her looked like they were good until he blew up. And then she's with Calvin, and now she's moved on to Aaron. And I think it's just, and I said this to Yvonne as well. I said I think the fact that she's been, this is now the third different guy since the show started, and it's only been like a month. That may very well be messing with her. And she said, I'm seeing these other people have these really deep connections and relationships, and I don't. And so I think it's messing with her, and I'm not sure how much longer she's going to last on the show. I don't think she's going to make it to the finale. Seems like a really nice, genuine person, and all of them. Casting. I've talked about the negativity towards the casting on Big Brother and how I agree with it. The casting on Love Island's been great, absolutely great. Caleb is, to me, he's the guy that makes the most sense. So when Johnny's off doing his thing, he pulls Johnny aside and goes, Selly's in love with you. Like, so he cuts through all the crap and says, she's in love with you. Like, this is not just, we're just having fun. And you could tell that hit Johnny, where he's like, oh. And then, like, last night's episode, I said to Yvonne, too, I said, Johnny could fix this whole thing with Sally, her being upset over him making it with another girl, if he just said that word. If he just said, I love you, and I'm sorry, and I want to make this work, she'd be butter, she'd melt, good, and everything's fine. He didn't say it. I understand not everybody would necessarily, but I personally in that situation, yeah, I would. Not that I would have got in that situation. Well, they're in their 20s. I probably would have ended up, I don't know. I would have been far too scrawny when I was in my early mid 20s. I was 118 pounds. I don't think I would have been somebody to be like, hey, this guy who looks like he hasn't eaten in a month and a half. We need to get him on Love Island. And he's almost see-through because his skin's so pale. Yeah, we can get him on Love Island. That'll be great. The skinny pale kid's gonna do really, really well. So yeah, probably not. But Caleb is this. He's a great guy for talking to. I know Jalen does that for the ladies, but I think Caleb does it for the guys. And last night I kept saying, "Okay, Johnny, you need to go get Caleb. Johnny, go get Caleb. Bring him in. Sit him down. He'll talk to Sally. He'll talk to you. He can cancel this whole thing. He can make this work. Caleb could be a really good counselor. Could absolutely work." And then Cher, who's one of the new girls that got brought back from the other casa, and I like her. I think she's really mature. I think she's well spoken, fascinating. She's different from the other women on this show, and I'm glad that she's still in there because I think she's really interesting, and she could throw a wrench into a couple of the couples that still exist. Again, this show to me is the social aspect. It's the relationships that exist between these people that are interesting. It's much like Big Brother in a good season. In a good season on Big Brother, you're watching friendships get formed. You're watching non-friendships get formed. People really hate each other. Like Lauren when she got voted out of here, and she just had a complete freak out. Reminded me of Jerry Maguire when Tom Cruise is freaking out. Or in Accepted, when the redhead finds out at the start of the movie, I'm trying to remember her name. Redhead finds out she didn't get into Yale, and she just didn't get into Yale. I didn't get into Yale. It just, Lauren reminded me of that. She's just, you're all fake and you're all frauds and you're all jerks. And if I'd been fraud and been fake, then I'd still be here. But you're all fake and you're all frauds. And everybody's like, what is she talking about? It was great freak out. And again, it was interesting because Lauren, the whole time she's been there, been kind of like this, sexy, alluring, I'm here. How you doing? What's up? And then as soon as they voted her out, she's like, are you kidding me? Me? Oh, all right then. And just truth comes out. So that was ugly. Yeah, that was great. I had kind of hoped. I'm still waiting for her to just like storm back on somehow through the Cromwell and get up there and I have more to say. I have more to tell you people. I want to see her break in, maybe dressed as a ninja, and with her British accent telling people just how stupid they are and how everybody's fake. And then because she'd be wearing all black from head to toe, and it's Vegas, so it's like 38 degrees Celsius, about 100 degrees Fahrenheit, she'd drop. So she'd be mid freak out, and then she'd just pass out right in front of everybody. And then they just go back to whatever they're doing, and production's freaking out. So yeah, that's what I make no apologies. It's a fun show. Last thing I want to talk about is, yes, so coming back to football where I started this, the blown calf is the most Bengals thing ever. So the B in Bengals stands for blown calf muscle. He's going to hit a chip shot from 20 yards out, and I thought, all right, so they're going to go to overtime. Oh, no, he blew his calf out instead. All right. And as a Bengals fan, did I react? Not really. No. I just watched that and went, yeah, it's about right. And then I moved along. So that's the extent of my NFL exposure for this week. I know that the Cowboys found out they're not gods again, and that's just a running storyline with the Cowboys. Every year it's hype, hype, hype. Oh, well, let's see. Week 1's over with. Are we still hyped? We're not hyped? All right, well, we're going to go. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. And again, I know there's a lot of people that would say, why would Shannon watch this? It's fascinating. It's fascinating. I people watch. It's what I do. I used to go down to the mall, and I would just sit in the middle of the mall, and I would just watch people walking by, and I would just get a kick out of watching it, watching parents wanting to freak out on their kids, but they can't, they're in public, this kind of thing, and just a little body language thing between people, especially the best time to people watch, right about a week before Christmas. Make sure you've got your Christmas shopping done, go to the mall a week before Christmas, and then just watch the chaos. This may not be the year we see that, but once the world's open up again, it's a lot of fun. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for everything. I will talk to you again soon.